Tell her how you feel, son.
I have some news.
So do I.
It's big.
Mine's big too. Okay, look,
Okay, I want to go first. I met someone.
wow, that's so great.
We had the most insane, freaky ass sex. I can't even talk about it, otherwise
Yeah, let's stop talking about it.
The other day, I got a chance to see Netflix's new romantic comedy, Always Be My Maybe, starring Ali Wong and Randall Park, and directed by Nahnatchka Khan. The film is about two best friends who grew apart after they awkwardly lose their virginity to each other right before graduating high school. She goes off to become a world-famous chef, and he sticks around in San Francisco to take care of his father and stay stagnant with his band. They meet again years later when Wong's character returns to San Francisco to open up a restaurant in the city, and the story then resolves itself to get the two back together again. I'll be honest, I'm not a big fan of romantic comedies. They tend to follow the same routines, the same tropes, with the only difference being the actors and the characters' names and the jobs the characters have. Even though the story doesn't really rely on it, the fact that there are very few white people in this movie is a refreshing take from the typical romantic comedy. The amount of people of color in front of and behind the camera gives this story that has already been told way too many times a new feel. Now, let's get to Keanu. Keanu Reeves plays himself in this film as a love interest for Wong's character, and he is hilarious in his role. Even though his part in the movie is relatively short, it brought the biggest laughs, to me anyway, and made the music for the end credits funnier than the actual song. Vivian Bang, who plays Park's girlfriend Jenny, is funny even though she plays like an airheaded hipster type. I'm still wondering how she got those dreads in her hair. Wong and Park have chemistry, and I buy that they would be in some sort of relationship together. The two of them co-wrote the film, so that kind of played part in it also. I recommend it. I give it 4 stars. I have no real problem with it, and it's a great date movie. It's a new way to tell an old story. Toy Story 4 will be released in theaters on June 21st. I am one of the few people on the planet who hasn't seen any of the Toy Story movies. That is, until this past week. I finally saw Toy Story 1 through 3 in preparation for Part 4, and I figured I would give you my thoughts on them a couple of decades too late. The Toy Story trilogy was co-written by former Chief Creative Officer of Pixar, John Lasseter, who also directed the first 2 Toy Story films. The 3 films go along a certain story arc. The first Toy Story is about how a boy's favorite toy lives with the dread of being forgotten about when a new toy comes along and takes its place as favorite. While Woody lives in fear of being replaced as a favorite toy, Buzz Lightyear doesn't even realize he is a toy and eventually comes to his own existential crisis when he finds out who and what he really is and what his place in the world is. The second Toy Story centers on Woody, who is stolen by a toy dealer and finds out who he really is. A priceless old toy who can earn big bucks in the open market. The film deals with what happens when a toy isn't wanted anymore and what new purpose it can serve. Woody finds that he is a much-loved character and feels that he can be loved by millions of children by being placed in a museum, even though he still has his loyalty to Andy. Finally, in the third film, this is where Woody and friends realize that they won't be as much as a value to Andy because Woody had to accept that Andy had to reach a new milestone in life. This is something that he's been warned about in Part 2. They seek a new purpose as toys in a daycare where they can be played with and enjoyed by children who will never be too old. I have been warned by multiple people that this movie would be very emotional, and I gotta admit that I got a little something in my eye at the end of Toy Story 3, where Andy played with his toys one last time before driving off to college. Just saying that last sentence kind of brings a little thing to my eye, because there's all this dust in the room, all this stuff getting in my eye. There have been stories quoting Tom Hanks and Tim Allen as how emotional the ending of Toy Story 4 will be, and I guess I need to get ready for that. You just saw a segment of the Bronx Movie Club hosted by me, Justin McCullough. If you like what you see, please do not hesitate. Click on the subscribe button down below, click on the little bell up there, and click the like button because you obviously like the program. You can see other segments of my show, which I have in my video section. I have the most anticipated movies of 2019. I have some reviews that you would like to watch, things of that nature. And you can also catch me on social media. I'm on Instagram, Twitter, Stardust, Letterboxd, you name it, I'm there. So, yeah, I'll see you soon.